We're a little over a week away from the start of baseball season, and head coach Jay Johnson seems nothing but prepared for the 2024 season coming off of last year. With players like Tommy White coming back in full health, more depth in the pitching rotation, and Hayden Travinski being a star recruit from last year staying on the team this year, this LSU baseball team is prime for the season. The past week or so, there's been a huge conversation about Iowa's Caitlin Clark attempting to beat LSU's basketball legend Pete Maravich's record, and while Clark is undoubtedly good, 3,462 points in 4 years can't compete with Maravich's 3,667 in only 3 years with no three-point line. For this episode, I'll be bringing on the news and sports director of the Louisiana Radio Network, Jeff Palermo, along with the editor of Tiger Rag Magazine, Todd Horne, and the assistant editor, Will Nickel, while they sit down with head coach Jay Johnson to preview this 2024 baseball season that'll be starting up next week. And after hearing from Coach Johnson, Jaeson Maravich, Pete Maravich's son, will be on to discuss his father's record that's currently in competition with Caitlin Clark. Welcome back to another episode of Tiger Rag Audibles podcast. This is Camryn Conner, your host, and after this word from one of our sponsors, head coach Jay Johnson will be on with Jeff, Todd, and Will to discuss this baseball team and what we'll be seeing next week.
It's your time to move things forward. U.S. Army Reserve.
LSU baseball coach Jay Johnson in his third season for the Tigers. Obviously a national championship last year, but we're not here to talk about last year. It's all about 2024. Coach Johnson, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing well. We're doing well. Give us an idea as we're a week and a half away from the start of the season. I know this is a very broad question that I'll ask you, but it's the way to get into it, I guess, is just how's the team looking? Anybody in particular has kind of emerged? Are things settling in as far as who you are thinking will not necessarily be your starting nine on opening day, but guys that you're feeling pretty good about, hey, these are the type of guys we'll be counting on, especially early on in the 2024 season?
Yeah, we were off to a good start this spring. I like the way the team is moving, the mood of the team. Definitely have moved on from last year. 2023 special. We'll always be thankful for that team that should be always celebrated. But right now our undivided attention is on the season in 2024, and the players have done a good job moving forward, and very proud of them for that, and have had a good mindset in terms of what we're trying to do on a daily basis right now, which is just improve and prepare. And we like the players that we have, and we're excited to compete with them starting next weekend.
Hey, Jay, this is Todd. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I wanted to get real specific and check in on how Tommy White's shoulder is doing. I know he just started back 100% with the spring. I saw he had a couple hits in the scrimmage on, I guess it was Sunday. But how's he swinging?
Doing great. As I'm looking for it, you would not know, or looking at it right now, you would not know he missed, 6 months. Just a guy that was born to hit for both average and power. I think through 8 scrimmages, he's hitting 444, hit a home run the other day. Looks like himself in the box, showing great plate discipline. He's already walked 9 times in the 8 scrimmages that we've played, and really thankful to have Tommy back for this year.
So, Jay, when you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, you made no bones about it that you thought he was the best hitter in college baseball. Why is he the best hitter in college baseball? I know there's more than just, raw talent there. There's discipline, there's skill, there's, being a good pupil. But what is it about him that makes him such a great hitter?
Yeah, I think he's very complete. I think you start with the competitive nature that he has. You look at, 105 RBI season last year. So it's not just impacting the ball. It was impacting the ball when we needed it the most, which was with runners on base. And I think there's kind of a clutch gene to Tommy, which is why he, hits in the spot in the order that he does when guys are going to be on base. We want as many guys on base when he gets to the plate as we possibly can have. And just the combination of just pure hitting ability and power. And he sees the ball incredibly well. Like, he can let the ball travel further than most hitters, get it back into his strength, and drive it with power to all parts of the field. So just super complete. My favorite quality of him is his competitiveness.
One more question on Tommy White, Coach Johnson. The fact that he has this shoulder now taken care of, how do you think that's going to improve his defense at the hot corner?
I thought he did a really good job last year. And, going down the stretch is when his shoulder was bothering him the most. And he played exceptional defense in the NCAA tournament. I think he only made one error in the 13 games that we played in the NCAA tournament, and finished very strong. And he's highly motivated to do it. The reason he came to LSU was obviously LSU has a lot to offer. He knew we were going to have a great team last year, all of those things, but we were going to give him the chance to play third base because he's a driven individual and he wanted to show that he could play third base. I thought he did a good job. And he's off to a good start here in the spring. Obviously limited reps in the fall, but I would never bet against him, for having that personal improvement and something that he's really put his mind to improving.
Well, along that subject, Tommy mentioned to me that he was last year, because of his shoulder, he was having to hug the line as his normal position. And then, he was really excited about being able to play it from a normal position on the field. But I'm just curious, with a new shortstop and Michael Braswell, more than likely, I think, based on what I've heard, is there going to be any communication issues or any getting used to each other that we're going to have to contend with during the first part of the season, especially?
Well, the good part about Michael, even though he's a first-year player for us, he's played a lot of baseball in the SEC for the last 2 years, and his communication skills, leadership skills, all of those things are far advanced for a player that has only been here for 1 year. And so really excited about that. That was really showcased in the 2 outside fall games that we played. And, you have experience also with Tommy. And so when you have those 2 guys that have played a lot of college baseball together, that's a good start. And I don't anticipate that. It's something, we're always watching for everything, though. So if we feel like it's not there, we'll sniff it out and make sure it is there as fast as it needs to be.
So, Jay, one of the things that when we talked a couple of weeks ago that I found particularly interesting was the fact that you placed so much emphasis on bringing back Hayden Travinski. In fact, you called him your most prized recruit from last year, or one of your most prized recruits. Could you talk about why that is and how he fits really 2 elements of your formula or your process to building a team?
Yeah, for sure. I'll talk about the baseball contribution first. If you just look at his statistics last year, they're very impressive. And if you were to double those by being able to play healthy and full time for a full season, what you have is an All-American hitter. He did it against the best competition. Like Tommy, he hit in the most important moments for our team and can provide a little bit of protection, for Tommy in the lineup. He takes mature at bats, and with him sitting there right behind him, there's no way that you can pitch around Tommy, because Hayden will hurt you, as evidenced by his statistical performance from last year. And then just as a 5-year player, of his talent, those are really hard to come by. So a guy that's had adversity, attacked it, overcame it, found his way in, massive contributor on a national championship team, developed leadership skills and perseverance and those types of things along the way. You have a really talented player that serves a really specific purpose for your team that's also, the right kind of person with the right kind of experience and maturity.
Talking with LSU baseball coach Jay Johnson. And Coach Johnson, you said there's no way you can replace a Dylan Cruz, but you do need to have a center fielder out there this season. Is Paxton Kling the guy, or is there other options out there that can roam center field this season?
Yeah, Paxton is gonna go, and we're excited about that. Great kid, hard worker, uber talented, and when he is going for it and playing at full speed and with great confidence and conviction in his game, you have the makings of everything you need, in that spot. So that's what we're looking for him to do out there. We do have really good outfield play. Jake Brown's a freshman. I guess he could always play center field as well. Probably the center fielder, of the future, if you will, here. He's also a good first baseman. So that's a real possibility, too, of him moving to that spot. Mac Bingham played center field at Arizona the last couple years and is a very good defender as well. Nick Paul is a really good defensive outfielder as well. So we like the speed element in the outfield, and a lot of guys can play a lot of different spots.
Wanted to ask about your bullpen. I know it takes a while sometimes to really formulate the roles and so forth. I mean, look at last season. It basically didn't really come together until probably the last weekend or so, the regular season in that Georgia series. But the fact that you have a guy in Gavin Guidry who had experience getting the final out from you have a right-handed pitcher there, and then you bring in Justin Lohr. What's your thoughts on having the options here of these two guys in particular, especially late in innings where you can really match up against opposing teams?
Yeah, I think it's probably the strength of the team is the depth in the pitching staff, the ability to provide the right kind of matchup, right kind of look for success for our pitcher to execute outs. You're starting with, two really good guys there in Gavin. Obviously, we saw what he did last year. Back half of the SEC schedule through the postseason, tremendous confidence and competitor, has a makeup of the guy that you need to finish the game. Obviously ultra confident. Same with Justin, from the left side. He's a difficult look for a hitter, throws all his pitches for strikes, has great tempo, suffocates the strike zone, and also pitches with a ton of confidence as well. And that's just a starting point. Feel great about how we're going to be able to line it up both left and right and provide, positive matchups for us to be able to go get outs.
Jay, when we talked to Nate last week or a week before that, he described Griffin Herring as being a Swiss Army knife, and he could just fill multiple roles and matchups for you. And I saw that he also had a really strong outing this weekend. So how's he progressing so far?
Yeah, he's doing great. I've always thought of that description of, hey, this guy could be a Swiss Army knife. Kind of what that means to me is he's one of your best pitchers. And that's how I feel about Griffin, is he's one of our best pitchers. I trusted him last year as a freshman. He's better than he was a year ago, and he's going to provide a lot of roles for us. Wouldn't surprise me if he ended up starting on Friday or Saturday or closing games or coming in at the tipping point parts of the game. And the great thing about Griffin is he's a team first player. And I mean, just a few days ago, we were talking about something developmentally, and he's like, I'm ready to do whatever you need. And that's the type of attitude I want in our program, and that type of attitude in great players, and that's Griffin.
One more question for you, Coach Johnson, and thanks a lot for your time. We're talking with LSU baseball coach Jay Johnson. Luke Holman, what have you learned about him since he's been part of the LSU baseball program, transferring in from Alabama?
Well, I viewed Luke as one of the best returning pitchers in the SEC this year. When we were preparing to play Alabama, just watching him on video, I was like, man, this guy could be a little bit of a problem. And had a great season, had a ton of great performances and great outings. And we're certainly happy that he's here. He's got great pitchability. He's got great poise. He's a great athlete. He's quick to the plate, fields his position well, throws his off-speed pitches for strikes, kind of blindfolded even in that situation. And just tremendous competitor as well. And really, really fortunate that Luke's at LSU and very thankful.
Hey, real quick, Coach, before we let you go, I know you wanted to be a football coach before you became a baseball coach. I don't know if you've paid any attention to the Super Bowl because you've been so busy, but who's your pick?
Grew up in Northern California, so go Niners.
There you go. All right, he was quick on that. Coach Johnson, enjoy the Super Bowl. I can't wait for the start of the season. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Jeff, Todd, and Will, for y'all's interview with Jay Johnson. Baseball season will definitely be here before we know it. Now on to Jaeson Maravich, who will be on with the guys to discuss his father's legacy at LSU and as a basketball player.
Jaeson, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank y'all for having me on again.
Well, it's great to have you on. Last year, it was that I don't even remember that guy's name from Detroit Mercy, but that was, I don't know who he is or where he's at now. But he was trying to get the record, and he was trying to swindle his way into some sort of postseason tournament with 9 wins on the year as a team.
They were trying to get somebody to pay for
it. To get in the CBI tournament or one of those goofy tournaments they had. So that one was crazy. Now, hey, Caitlin Clark has had an outstanding career, a Hall of Fame career as far as collegiately. She's a terrific player, but if she surpassed your dad's record for points scored during her career, you look at it as, hey, that's a totally different thing than what my dad accomplished, correct?
Yes. Kind of the same thing as last year, apples to oranges. I got to watch her play, I think 2 games last year, and I was extremely impressed. I'm a fan of hers. She's amazing for the girls game. I think she's going to be a great pro. I don't think anyone ever break my dad's record legit. What I mean legit is do it in the same time he did. Obviously, when he played, he couldn't play varsity as a freshman. So I think they had said if he had played 4 years, if they had added on his freshman year, you have close to 5,000 points. But I root for Caitlin Clark all the time. I think she's good for basketball, and I do think if there was a woman that I had to compare to my dad, I've never seen someone that I would compare to him. But I mean, she would probably be the closest.
And why is that, Jason? What is it about her game, the way she plays, that reminds you of the way your dad played?
Well, she's not as I still have never to this day seen anyone as flashy as my dad, but her long range shooting, like the distance on a three, she can go 5-10 feet behind the line. She's a very good passer. She's a really good ball handler. She's got the skills and fundamentals, and she's not afraid to shoot. I mean, someone the other day told me that she's chucking up about 30, 35 shots a game, something like that.
Yep, yeah.
So she's got that scorer first mentality, and I just think she's great to watch. I'd heard a bunch about her, but then until I watched her play, I was really taken back. But I did an interview the other day, and they told me that the people in Iowa call her Ponytail Pete. So I don't know.
That's a cool name, though.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
This is a little off subject, but I want to go there for a second. Jason, do you know where your dad got the nickname Pistol Pete from? Do you know where it originated?
Yes. When he was in 8th grade, he was playing varsity as an 8th grader, but he was only 5'2" and like 95 pounds, I think. And he didn't have the strength to shoot it near his head or above his head. So he used to take the ball from his waist and bring it all the way up to his head. And a newspaper reporter after the game actually came up to him and said, "It looks like you're drawing a pistol out of your holster when you shoot the ball." And it stuck from there.
Wow. How about that? That's a great story.
Well, I was doing a little bit of research, and not too long ago, I talked to former LSU coach, legend himself, Dale Brown, and he said and you've probably heard this before, Jason, but he said he charted every single shot your dad took that he scored on, and concluded that if his shots from what would be 3-point range today, and we're only talking about into 3 years, he would have averaged a total of 57 points a game and averaged 12 3-pointers per game.
Yeah, that's not even taking into account that if he knew there was a 3-point line, he probably would have shot more from behind there.
And that's not taking into account a shot clock, which they didn't have either, because that
was my next point. I think obviously the no 3-point line always gets talked about. The no shot clock to me is even more amazing.
Yeah, and
because
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, when they used to play Tennessee, I asked Dale Brown this a while back because I'd gone back and read a bunch of stuff, and his average against Tennessee was like 34. It was like 10 points under, and I was wondering why. Dale told me that they used to hold the ball for 4 or 5 minutes at a time just so he couldn't get the ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
and your dad used to get angry in the Tennessee games, from what I hear, because they were doing that. Yeah. But your dad really, from what I understand from talking to a lot of contemporaries that, people that actually played with him and people, of course, that would go to the Cow Palace and watch him play every chance they got, they said that he was not really a shoot first type of player. He didn't mind to shoot. He wasn't shy about shooting, but he actually preferred the assist more than the shot. Did he tell you that at any time?
He did. That's true. I've seen a couple interviews with him when he was older, and he said he always used to enjoy the pass first. He said he was always wanting to entertain the fans at the same time as getting the win, but he always used to say that, you know, there's only so many ways you can put the ball in the hoop. You have to figure out a way to bring fans back besides just shooting. And so he took a lot of pride in his passing. It's funny because he's known as a scorer shooter, rightfully so, but I think his ball handling passing was better than his shooting was.
Well, it was definitely ahead of his time, and he's definitely,
right.
You know, set the standard. And what you see in higher level basketball, NBA, major college, is attributable to him as being a pioneer, if you will, obviously. But if she does break the record, if Caitlin Clark does break the record, even though
or surpass the point total, let's say that.
Yeah, let's say that.
Right.
Will you guys do anything? Will you reach out to her or anything like that, or what do you think your reaction will be?
That's a good question. I haven't even thought that far ahead about it yet. I didn't even know what was going on. Somebody told me about a week ago what was going on, kind of similar to the situation last year. I wasn't really paying attention, and then it just crept up. But I know she's pretty much guaranteed to break the girls' record pretty soon, and then she's on pace to break my dad's. So I don't know. But I mean, I'd be extremely happy for her. I still look at it as two totally different records, but what she's done in the women's game is unbelievable, and I give her all the credit in the world for that.
Well, you know,
she seems to be like a really good person too, which is good to see.
So I think it should have an asterisk by it, no matter what, because I mean, if for no other reason, in the 4 years, and they only allowed 3 years of eligibility for Pete, then. But
I'm sorry. I had talked to Dale a while back. I was trying to figure out why they couldn't change that rule and just because I'm pretty sure it was either a year or two after my dad left LSU that they changed the freshman rule. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why they just couldn't add that point total.
Did your dad ever talk about having that record, or was it something he was proud of, or was it something that he never talked about it? I don't remember him ever bringing it up. It just wasn't when he was retired. He just didn't talk about any of his accolades or any of that stuff a lot, really. It's amazing.
That's why when I grew up as a kid, I really didn't know who he was until I got older. Like I just looked at him as dad. I didn't find out about his accolades and everything else till I was probably around 13 or 14. But
and how did you find out, if you don't mind my asking?
When I was playing basketball myself, everywhere we went, just people just freaking out when they saw that I was playing on a team. And then as I got older, we would go to NBA games and things, and we would talk to NBA players, and I started to get a real feel for who he was and how great he was from other people. And then the 50 greatest players thing in Cleveland, where me and my brother were there to represent my dad because he was the only one deceased at the time. We got to talk to all the greats, past and present, and they all just gushed about him, and that's when it really hit me, kind of thing.
Why do you think he was someone that really didn't reflect too much on his playing days with you and your brother?
I'm not sure. I used to beg him as a kid to watch. When I was growing up, there was only one game I think on TBS during the week, nationally televised, and I'd beg him to watch it with me, and he would. But I don't know. He after he got saved, came to Jesus. He put all his effort, energy into that. He was whatever he went into. He was hardcore. So, but he would play basketball with us and the kids around the neighborhood after school and stuff like that. But he never showed me tapes of himself or anything like that. So I don't know. That's why I found it. I didn't find this stuff out till later, but I knew how good he was just from us playing with us in the backyard and stuff, but I didn't know to what level.
I do think, though, with Caitlin Clark, with the point total that she does, I think, and then obviously Pete Maravich's name is going to get brought up. And for anybody that's reading these articles or watching a TikTok video or however they're consuming this, it is shining the light on what your dad was able to accomplish. And it probably brings in another group of individuals who were unaware of just how amazing he was and the ability to average over 40 points a game.
100% agree. It's the last 2 years with this stuff, it's definitely brought it back into the limelight. And I tell people all the time what's amazing to me, like, I think Caitlin Clark is averaging around 30 maybe or a little above that.
30 and a half. Somewhere, yeah. 30,
right.
yeah.
I've got 28.1 for her career. For her career.
For her career, it's 28.1.
Right,
You're right.
Which is not even close to the 44. I tell people all the time, like, just to put it in perspective, if my dad had 40 in a game, it hurt his average. Like 40 for him is a subpar game, which is mind-boggling to think about. But that's why I just don't. I look at these records I'll always look at his record as the true record, unless somebody comes in 3 years and scores 45 a game, which ain't never going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen in this game. They'll be they'll be turning pro after 8 games.
Exactly. If in college now, if one guy scores 40 just in one game, it leads off SportsCenter.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
No one's going to be close to averaging that. So.
Well, Jason, great catching up with you. It's good to get your perspective on this, and it's great to talk about your dad. Just such a phenomenal athlete, someone that I think if you come across it, I hear this all the time from people. Especially, I'm 48 years old. I mean, you hear it from one of the things that people will always say, I wish I would have seen Pete Maravich play. I mean, you hear that so much. That's amazing.
Me too. I wish everyone I talked to always said it was more like an event than it was an actual just a game. And I was a year old when he retired from the Celtics. So I wish I could go back in time, especially to an LSU game. That would have been unbelievable with the people that I've talked to that actually got to go to the games.
Yeah. Well, Jason, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I hope you and your family are doing well. And again, it's always a pleasure to have you on our show.
I appreciate it, and thank y'all for having me on again.
The East Baton Rouge Library says this is the year to invest in you. The library brings value by connecting you to information, resources, materials, technology, and experiences. We make a positive difference in your life. All you need is your library card. Stop by one of our 14 locations, open 7 days a week, or find us online at ebrpl.com.
All right, that's it for today's episode. Special thank you to everyone who was on the show today. Tonight, the LSU Tigers go up against the number 6 Tennessee Volunteers at 6 p.m. in Tennessee's territory and on the SEC network. And the baseball season opens up next Friday, February 16th in Alex Box Stadium against VMI. Stay tuned here and on TigerRag.com for more insider chats and all things LSU sports, and I'll be back later this week.